Shipwreck of the day. This is how the Ukrainian Defense Ministry described a video of the Russian missile corvette Ivanovets being hit by Ukrainian naval drones in western Crimea just a week ago. The Russian warship rehearsed to fire at cargo ships in the Black Sea after the collapse of the grain deal. Following the Ukrainian attack, it rolled astern and sank, according to the country's military intelligence. The Ivanovets is just the latest in a series of blows to the Russian Black Sea Fleet, brought by Ukraine, a country that technically has no navy. As of December last year, about 20% of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, based in the occupied Crimean city of Sevastopol, was destroyed, said Ukrainian and Western officials. At first, Ukraine used its Soviet-era weapons and domestically produced Neptune cruise missiles. But after developing cutting-edge naval drones and receiving long-range missiles from allies, Ukraine intensified its attacks. This is Dinara Khalilova, a news editor at the Kyiv Independent, and here is a list of the most important Russian ships taken out by Ukraine. For more reporting, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Saratov landing craft was one of the first truly big vessels that Russia lost during the invasion. Ukrainian forces reportedly sank it using Soviet .U ballistic missile in March 2022. The ship was docked in the occupied port of Berdyansk in Zaporizhia Oblast, which Russia was using to supply its troops in Mariupol. Commissioned in the 1960s, the Saratov was used to support Russian military operations in Syria and Georgia, as well as the illegal annexation of Crimea in 2014. The ship could carry up to 400 troops, plus 20 main battle tanks or 45 armored vehicles. The missile cruiser Moskva was the flagship of the Black Sea Fleet and a proud symbol of Russia's naval power, until it was sunk in April 2022. Ukraine said it hit the cruiser with two homegrown anti-ship missiles, Neptune. The result? Russia lost a 750 million war machine and an unknown number of personnel from the ship's crew of 500 people. Moskva was the first Russian flagship to be sunk since the Russo-Japanese War. It played a key role in Russia's naval assault on Ukraine at the start of the full-scale invasion, helping provide air cover for other Russian ships in the Black Sea and capture Snake Island. Famously, it's the same ship that ordered Ukrainian Marines on the island to surrender, only to be given their now iconic reply: Russian warship, go f*** yourself. The Ropucha-class landing vessel Olenegorskiy Gornyak became the second largest Russian ship, crippled or destroyed, after the Moskva. It often ferried military and civilian traffic between Russia and occupied Crimea, while the Kerch Bridge was disrupted by Ukrainian attacks, according to the UK Defense Ministry. When attacks on military targets in Crimea became routine, Russia moved the Olenegorskiy Gornyak to Novorossiysk in the Krasnodar region. But this didn't save the ship from a Ukrainian sea drone, which traveled at least 600 kilometers to carry out the attack, showing that Russian ships are not safe even far away from Ukrainian shores. Russia allegedly moved the Olenegorskiy Gornyak back to Sevastopol for repairs in late January. But the ship will unlikely return to service in the near future. It's difficult to find new components for a vessel built in the 1970s in Poland. Ukraine's first successful missile strike on the port of Sevastopol in September last year disabled as many as 2 Russian vessels: the Ropucha-class landing vessel Minsk and the Kyiv-class submarine Rostov-on-Don. Ukraine said that the strike had damaged Minsk beyond repair, and over a month after the attack, satellite images showed that the ship was dismantled. The Rostov-on-Don, in turn, was the first Russian submarine disabled by Ukrainian forces. It was one of the 4 submarines Russia used to launch missile strikes on Ukraine. The submarine suffered catastrophic damage, and any efforts to return it to service would take years and hundreds of millions of dollars. according to the British Defense Ministry. The attack on the Sevastopol shipyard also caused 62 Russian casualties, as reported by Ukraine's Special Operation Forces, and damaged the facility's infrastructure, likely paralyzing it for months. Ukraine destroyed the Askold, a brand new missile corvette with advanced stealth technology, even before it entered service. At least 3 Storm Shadow missiles reportedly struck the corvette in a shipyard just several kilometers away from the Crimean Bridge in November last year. The British Defense Ministry called the attack the furthest to the eastern Crimea than most previous Ukrainian claimed long-range strikes. The Askold could carry up to 8 caliber cruise missiles, or Onyx anti-ship missiles. Its destruction means one less platform for Russia to attack Ukrainian cities, infrastructure and cargo ships. The Soviet-era Novocherkassk was designed for amphibious landings, but Russia eventually balked at landing troops in southern Ukraine. Instead, Russia used the ship to transport troops and military equipment to the occupied part of Zaporizhia Oblast, according to the spokesman of Ukraine's Air Force. Ukraine dropped a cruise missile on the ship, while it was docked at Feodosia in Russian-occupied Crimea in December last year. A powerful secondary blast suggested that the Novocherkassk was carrying explosives. Ukrainian military officials said that their detonation made the ship inoperable. Russia has tried to downplay the loss, but an alleged email from the Black Sea Fleet's press service, intercepted by a Ukrainian hacker group, showed that the attack might have killed 74 Russian soldiers and injured another 27. The Novocherkassk has become Russia's 4th landing ship disabled by Ukraine since the start of the full-scale invasion, which has further degraded Moscow's military logistics. Ukraine's campaign against the Black Sea Fleet forced the Russian Navy to double down on defenses and move its ships farther from Ukrainian shores. This, in turn, has allowed Kyiv to continue exporting its agricultural products, even after Russia pulled out of the agreement to stop attacking Ukrainian exports. Except for destroying Russian plans to block Ukraine's maritime trade, the Black Sea Fleet attacks have made it more difficult for Russia to transport military equipment, launch amphibious assaults, and attack Ukraine with missiles. Last but not least, Ukraine's unexpected naval success carries a deep symbolic meaning. It has shown that the Black Sea Fleet is not as invincible as Moscow had claimed, demoralizing the enemy and exposing their weakness. If you want to know more about the situation on Ukraine's battlefield, including the Black Sea, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.